This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers. That is 2 3-page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 38, entitled The Evolution of Female Nagging. Description. This flyer theorizes on how women evolved their nagging of men, and how in today's twaytweffing world, a nagging female will probably end up living alone. Flyer itself. The evolution of female nagging. Why do women nag? It's so negative a behavior of women that millions of them are divorced or dumped by men, to the point that one wonders how it evolved in the first place, as it must have, since nearly all women nag. This comment will be rather speculative, as I attempt to provide theories on why female nagging evolved and why it is no longer beneficial to women in today's world. Women are genetically dependent on men. They evolved to be parasites on men. Pre-human babies doubled the size of their brains over 1 million years, creating a real problem for women. A bigger baby's brain required a larger birth canal in the mother, which in turn created more stress on the hip bone. If the hip bone broke, that was fatal for the woman. Eventually, natural selection found a solution to this problem by having the baby be born prematurely, so that the growth of the baby's head took place mostly after the birth. But a prematurely born baby is utterly useless. It can't walk, it can't fend for itself the way many other newborns can in other species. This in turn created a new problem for women. That is, they were made immobile by their useless babies, who required constant attention. The mothers were unable to be separated from their helpless infants, which severely restricted the mother's mobility. They had to stay close to the home. They could not hunt like a lioness or forage far from home. So how could these pre-human mothers get protein if they could not get it themselves due to the dependency of their babies? Again, natural selection found a way, namely sex. The human female is the sexiest of the mammals by being in heat all the time, unlike dogs or monkeys, etc. Human females evolved the ability to have sex at any time, any day of the month, which was a big plus for them when bargaining with male pre-humans to give them meat, protein, in exchange for vagina. So women all became prostitutes, sex for protein, bargaining with men. Give me some of your meat for me and my babies, and I'll give you some cunt. The above seems quite plausible, although rather difficult to prove scientifically. The question now is, how did female nagging evolve, and for what purpose? If pre-human females evolved the ability to nag men, how would that help them? I suppose the obvious answer is that it gave women an extra tool to persuade men to give them more protein. A woman could nag her man that if he didn't give her more meat, she would give her cunt to some other guy. Women evolved nagging to increase the odds that men became more parasited upon. That is my theory. Now, in today's world, female nagging has become a major liability for women and is costing them bitterly. In the US, for example, 40% of women over 40 live alone. Millions of these women have been divorced by men who rejected them due to their nagging. There's a limit to what a man will tolerate with a nagging female. Millions of women seem unable to judge just how much nagging is too much until, from her perspective, out of the blue, her man explodes and just walks out, fed up with the nagging bitch, and dumps her, often trading her in for a younger, sexier model who is nicer and nags much less. Younger women under 40 should be very conscious that nearly half of older women over 40 live alone, many of them being punished by men for being nagging bitches and who have gotten their just desserts. Now that the fluffy feminists have taken over the divorce courts, young men over 35 in the US have reacted by refusing to marry and have kids, so that 70% of them today are wifeless and childless. Many of them still want sex, so they adopt a lifestyle that I call twaytweffing, equals 2A2F, equals 2 apartments, 2 FIPs. Where the man and the woman both are FIPs, financially independent persons, with their own apartment each. The advantage of this lifestyle for men is that it gives him the regular sex he craves, without paying the traditional price of being a manslave to a fluffy parasite. When the relationship fails, as the vast majority of them do, he can quietly return to his own apartment, cost-free. There are no child payments because there are no children. There's no alimony because the ex-girlfriend is a FIP. He keeps his house/apartment because there's no divorce, because there's no marriage. Twaytweffing is a great nag repellent. Any woman involved in a twaytweff relationship knows that if she starts nagging her man, there's a serious risk that he will become her ex-man, because he will just walk away, not tolerating a nagging, bloody female. So women really need to learn to control their genetically based tendency to nag men. This may be difficult because it is hardwired in her. It is part of her DNA, but the human brain is adaptable, and women are quite capable of being nice to men, the way they are when trying to entice a man she likes into a longer-term relationship. Twaytweffing is a lifestyle for men that ensure that women stay nice to men. Otherwise, they will join the 40% of women over 40 who are manless. So some advice to women reading this. Your genetic tendency to nag males is toxic in today's world. You need to suppress it, otherwise you will pay heavily. In today's Western countries, the majority of women will not get a robot male or manslave to pay for her middle-class house to raise her kids in. The supply of such men is drying up. Only 30% now in the US, and will be down to under 10% probably within a decade. So the competition amongst women to find a man who is prepared to have a kid with her will be fierce. So any woman stupid enough to give free rein to her tendency to nag will be wiping herself out from the competition. She will doom herself to the graveyard of the manless, that is, the 40% of women over 40 in the US who live alone, what I call the fluffy graveyard. Cheers, Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name de GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers. Ciao.